My name is Chuck Black, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I paint this bull elk into this landscape painting here. The reference material I'm using for the elk is a photo that I took a few years ago in the North Dakota Badlands. It's a beautiful photo. I'll have it pop up here so you can see, and I'm going to be showing you how I draw it out and transfer it to canvas, and then how I actually bring it to life using paint. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, now the first thing that I do before I worry about getting my subject on canvas is I draw it out on a piece of paper. So I'm looking at the reference photo via my computer screen, and I'm simply sketching it out. Now I've used a ruler and kind of gone back and forth to my painting to determine the size of the elk that I want. So I've kind of got that established on the paper, and then I basically just work through the sketch, which is what you're seeing right now, and really get a nice defined drawing of my elk. So the next thing you'll see me do is take a pair of scissors here and spray my drawing with a fixative so I don't lose it, and then cut out the drawing completely so that I have a nice template. Now, this template is what I'll use to transfer the drawing to the actual painting. So now that I have my elk cut out, what I did was just take some painter's tape and just cut up a small piece and just kind of affix it to the back so that I can just position my elk where I want that to be. So what I'm going to do is just kind of take my hands, kind of move that around, and just think about what might look good. Somewhere right in there. All right. I think I'm just going to stick with that. And this is just personal preference, just what looks good to you. So whatever you choose to add to your painting, you just kind of have to use your best judgment. And I think that will look good. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, the next step is we basically want to transfer this. This is the whole idea behind all of this process is I want to transfer this to the canvas. And so there's many ways to do this. This is not the only way. This is just a way that I've decided to do for this particular painting, and I use other methods as well. So this will just be an idea for you to see if you like it, see if this is something that you might be able to use for yourself. You might not like it as well, but it works for me most of the time. Now I grabbed some white here. I'm using golden fluid acrylics. I'm also going to grab some black. I don't want that to be too white. There's just no need to go that bright. So I'm going to start with a gray. Get some water. Okay, we'll just try that. I'm going to test this out right underneath the elk. Okay, that'll be a good gray. So what I'm going to do is basically just go around my cutout, just using my drawing like a cookie cutter. And simply trace it on. Now, as I begin to think about adding color to the elk, if you look at the reference photo, we've got a lot of direct sunlight hitting the elk. It's a lot brighter, and the scene here has, it's obviously in the shade. There's a lot more blue tones and neutral gray tones, and so we want to match the elk to the scene that we have, and that can be a challenge sometimes. So what I'm going to do basically is use some of the colors. So we have some browns and some peachy colors, maybe some reds in elk fur. Basically going to tone that way back towards the grayscale, and then we're going to add some blue to that to try and match it. And really, I think the only way that you can get good at taking a subject that you might have taken a picture of in completely different lighting and matching it to what you envisioned for your painting. Really the only way to get good at that is just by practice. And so I think you just have to go for it. You have to try it. It's not going to be good the first time, might not be good the 10th time for you, but you begin to learn. And so I'm going to try to explain this process and what I've learned and how to do this. So what we've got, and I've got some paint here already, but I think I would like to add some liquitex soft body to, at least for my white, to the palette. So I've got some liquitex soft bodies for the white. And I'm going to add some quinacridone red, which is more of like a pink, actually. And then I'm going to get some blue. Obviously, we're going to need some blue. And then I think I might also want some orange. Okay. And the last thing is I'll probably just take some napthol red, which is more like a cad red, just a primary red, more so. So as I begin to think about how to start this elk, I'm just going to take some white. And I've got some black here already. We're going to darken that, more of a gray tone, and then I'm going to add some blue. So when I think about the main portion of the elk, the body of the elk, it's a lighter color, and when it's in the shade, it's going to appear more blue. And it's going to appear very neutral. So we're going to start with a tone just like this. Not a lot of blue. Okay, so I'm just going to get a portion of that on there. Just kind of sit back and look at that. Now I think I might have it too bright. I'd like to darken that, match it to the surroundings, like I said. And the surroundings are just darker. So we're going to darken the color. That might be a bit extreme. Lighten it up a bit. A little bit of blue. Okay. That's probably closer. Now it may not be perfect just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and block that in. Wherever this color may exist. Okay. Looking pretty good. Now, we're going to move to, let's move to the darker areas. And in fact, since we have this color, let's go ahead and use it. Because I know that the antlers are going to be a similar color. They've got some kind of skin tone, peachy tone in them, but they're fairly neutral. It's going to be similar to the body. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in. Now I'm going to say up front here, I'm not going to add a ton of detail to this elk. I don't want it to overpower what I have surrounding it. I want it to really just sit nice and subtly into the painting. Not sure if subtly is a word. I want it to sit nice and subtle in the painting. Okay, so we've got the antlers. Like I said, some of those antlers are kind of thick, especially down towards the base. We can change some of that. I'll go ahead and start that process just to show you right now. Just take some black. That easy. So we can just start molding the antlers if needed. Might have to take some green, add that. Yeah, it's kind of thick towards the tail of the antler. Bring that part of it up. And right here as well. But it's a good start. So we've kind of tightened the antlers up a little bit. Okay. Next thing, when we move on to the darker tones, I'm going to go ahead and just take some of this gray. I'm going to add some red to it. Not a lot. So you can see we just add a slight amount of red just to change that hue slightly. So it's got kind of some pinkish red in it now. And then we're going to add black. More black. You're going to get it pretty dark. Yeah, I'll probably just add some more red to that as well. And I'm going to start with that. I'm going to go ahead and just block in this color. And kind of fan it into the lighter area. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to go around these lines. So these lighter lines that I made are actually going to be the darker areas. Same thing with the eye. Obviously the eye is going to be more of a black. So I'm going to go around these areas and block in this color, leaving the white. So it's going to look weird because these white lines actually need to be dark. So it's going to look weird at first. I think my ears got too big as well. I can cut that back. So we block in that. And same thing down lower. We're going to have some of the darker color. And just begin to blend it, start to blend it into the lighter area. Okay. Now as we get further down into the legs, we're going to get much darker. The hair gets really dark actually, almost a black. And I've added some red to that as well. So I'm just going to fill in, just blocking all this stuff in. Fill in the legs, this darker color. I might have to tighten up some of the legs, same way that I did with the antlers. Okay, now we can take some of that darker color, kind of go back over areas like the eye, the nose, maybe right around the edge. They'll just kind of blend it into that black background behind it. And then I'm going to pick up some orange along with some red and white. Make a brighter color with more of an orange and red in it. A little bit darker. A little darker. And I'm just going to kind of use this color. The rump has this more of an orange tone, and then the transition is going to have more of kind of an orangish tone. As well as the face. Now the face is going to take some work to get this right. But I can start just scrubbing in this color, just where I think it might exist. Then I'm going to take some more of a darker tone with some red. And our back is going to have some darker fur. Wash the brush real quick, kind of go back to that orangish tone. I think our antler just needs to start higher up. I started to shrink the eye some. I think the eye is actually fine. So it'll just take some work. The ears need to be shrunk. So I'll work on shrinking some of the ears. And you'll see me just poke around and poke around and poke around at this. Adding, this is just some black on my brush now. Just adding some tones, some shades into the mane. So it's going to take some work. But I wanted you to see the beginning of this in real time. And from here on out is basically the same process, but just tightening up. You can see I still have some white lines, and what I'll have to do is just take some blue and some gray, blue-gray, and I'll have to just kind of match that color that's around it. And just tighten up some of those legs. Get rid of any of the lines that I laid down as I was transferring this drawing. So you'll see me just continue to poke at this and just tighten up a bunch of stuff, and then we'll see if I can figure out something else to try and touch on as I begin to wrap it up. But that's pretty much it. You can see we already have a very nice looking elk. We're going to need some shading on the antlers. That's just grabbing some darker gray. A little too dark. Want some blue in there. I'll just have to add some shadows to the antlers. So it's very simple. A lot of this stuff doesn't have, there's no secret to any of this stuff. It's just a simple process, but it does take a while. And so the trick to it, and I say this in all my videos, is patience. Knowing that you've got to add each individual shadow, and it's just going to take time. So I'm going to continue, and you can see just that shadow on the antlers make it really look nice now. I'll just continue doing this exact same thing, and then we'll talk about it when I wrap it up. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this provided some more insight on how I do some of my wildlife. I've covered some of this in the past, but you guys keep asking for it, so I'm going to keep giving everything that I can here. If there's anything in particular, please let me know. I tried to do my best. It really comes down to just practicing at it over and over and over. It's really the same process that I covered in the beginning. It just takes just that extra amount of effort and just keep going, just tweaking it. A lot of it is just with a simple liner brush. In fact, I think all of it, in fact, was with a liner brush today. So this is the acrylic portion, kind of wraps up everything that I want to do with acrylics. I may add some oils. I always end up going to oils at the end of the painting if there's something that I want to tweak, or if there's something I want to saturate more, bring some more luminosity into it. I just don't know yet with this painting, so we'll see how I feel after I set this down and look at it for a day or two. But until next time, thank you again for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, please be sure to check out my free print giveaway, as well as my eBay auctions and website. Of course, I auction off all the paintings I do here on the videos through my eBay. All of those links are in the description below. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.